And it's 19 hours GMT. Hello, good evening to you. Welcome to News 360 and it's live news up here at Adesawe in Kanda. My name is Alfred Okansi.
And I'm Natalie Fort. A look at the top stories this evening.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by Deluxe Paid,
GT Bank,
and Calipo. So promises to lead development agenda of Dagbon as Yana Abukari Mahama II is officially outdoored as overlord.
Fresh killing of 17-year-old boy in Takrady. The second day intensifies fear and panic in the Twin City.
Ahead in business, new findings show 5 banks merged into the Consolidated Bank Ghana spent over 5 billion cedis of loans on cronies and related parties.
On the international front, the EU could be ready to drop some of its red lines from the Brexit deal it struck with the UK to help save it.
Details of these and much more news coming to you live here on News 360. As always, our bulletin is live all across the world on 3news.com. You could watch us on Facebook. It's TV3 Ghana.
Absolutely. We're live on DSTV channel 279 as well. It's the big day, big news, not only for the people of Dagbon, but the whole of this country. And President Akufo-Addo has called on the people of Dagbon to deal with individuals and entities who benefit from conflicts and as such are opposed to the peace processes in Dagbon. President Akufo-Addo, speaking at the investiture of the 80-year-old overlord, said despite many benefits from an embarrassing and deadly conflict, Dagbon will live again with its past glory restored. Here's a report by Komla Kluche.
Born in 1939, Abukari Mahama was ensconced the Saveluguna in 2011. With 6 wives and unnumbered children, his sterling leadership has won him the admiration to lead Dagbon. Enchanting gallant entry, admired by his subjects and supporting chiefs, the rich Dagomba culture was reenacted. The investiture to outdoor the new overlord witnessed support from chiefs from other traditional areas, fellow House of Chiefs members, and subjects from far and near. The president was the first to offer warm felicitations to the new overlord. Former President Mahama and other high-powered government delegation also followed suit. After 17 years of a peace accord, the eminent chiefs are demanding even more from the overlord.
It has been the most complex challenge to traditional governance in Ghana. Dealing with such a complex and emotive challenge requires the patience of a Job, the wisdom of Solomon, and the perseverance of the apostles.
For the National House of Chiefs, this is the beginning of a new era.
I want to remind all of us that the real work for sustaining peace in Dagbon has only just begun. I want to ask all our politicians to play their role. Very importantly, let us take politics out of Dagbon matters. Dagbon people are one, and all perceived differences are political constructions. To our Dagbon brothers and sisters, I have a humble request. Please remember that Dagbon cannot achieve much unless you stay united.
Government, the biggest investor after seeking amicable means of ending the Yendi conflict, expressed deep regrets the conflict has brought to the state. President Akufo-Addo in his address cautioned all who foment trouble within Yendi that the full force of the law will be deployed on them.
We are not to rest on our oars and assume that every citizen of Dagbon is elated about the new peace and the ensconcement of a new Yana. Indeed, there is a new term for people who profit from conflict. They are called conflictpreneurs. We have to be resolute in warding off such people by strengthening the process of reconciliation amongst the people of Dagbon.
He again announced government will give Yendi its share of the national cake.
Already, there are signs of good things coming to Dagbon. Just last week, Cabinet approved a $30 million water supply project. That will replace the old and dilapidated water system in Yendi and its catchment area. With my consent, the agreement for the project is now going to be submitted to Parliament for scrutiny and approval before it can begin.
With hearty cheers, the president walked the new overlord of Dagbon to the newly constructed Bewa Palace. The significance of his entry, a new dawn for a new beginning of Dagbon.
Meanwhile, Information Minister Kojo Oppong Nkrumah has been speaking on the curfew in Yendi with my colleague Komla Kluche.
As I speak to you now, there is no curfew here.
There's not going to be any curfew again going forward until...
No, the curfew ended last night. And today, I mean, you see the people going about their activities literally together. My friends on both sides, whether Ambudu or Andani or even on different political sides, are all here working together, and we do not expect a reimposition of that curfew. It does not mean, however, that the security agencies are all going to live here and be gone. No, there's still the need to ensure that security is maintained and that the necessary patrolling goes on here. But, you know, the president said something that having yielded to the compromise, the people must be rewarded with development.
Well, certainly, that's the reward they're having for their compromise is what they're saying there. But we ask, how well do you know the new overlord of Dagbon, Yana Abubakar II? So here's a profile of the new king.
Affectionately called Na Bukari, Yana Abubakar II was born in Yendi in 1939 by Queen Duhail Aishetu, daughter of Kulunkwe Na Abubakari. He is the son of Yana Mahama II and a grandson of Yana Andani II. In accordance with Dagbon traditional system, which requires a prince to go through a promotional process before he becomes Yana, the new Yana was first appointed to the Kpumpuno skin, then to the Gate skin of Savelugu in 2011, from where he rose to the kingship of Dagbon known as Yani. He is a paternal uncle of the late Yana Yakubu. This made him the Dakpema family head of the Andani royal family. Na Bukari first settled at Priya, a village after Sang on the Yendi road as a peasant farmer. As the Yana, he appoints all important chiefs in Dagbon, sub-chiefs, sub-divisional and paramount chiefs. He is the allodial owner of the land of Dagbon, which is 14,416.5 square kilometers in an area with a population of about 1 million people therein. The Yana is a successful farmer. He has experience and expertise in bullock plowing. In the 1960s, he trained many farmers in bullock plowing in the northern and upper regions. He is a skillful horseman.
Now, getting some history into this issue, a retired research associate from the Institute of African Studies of the University of Ghana is blaming the elders of Dagbon for creating what has now become the two royal gates in the Dagbon royal family. Sule Mohammed Dauda said there would have been no Andani gate or Abudu gate if the elders of the then Yana Yakubu had communicated the birth of his first son appropriately.
This gate system, most people get confused about it. A Yana named Yana Yakubu gave birth to two children on the same day. One wife gave birth earlier than the other wife. The second happened to have given cognizance by the elders by going to inform the chief that the wife who gave birth to the second child had given birth to, as if she had been the first to give birth. Hence, they ignored the first woman who had then given birth. It was after the announcement to the chief that your wife so-and-so had given birth to a baby boy that they went to say the second wife too had given birth. Meanwhile, they all came the same day.
All two women had children that same day.
Hence, Yakubu and Danny. For that matter, since the two came the same day, who would be called the elder? Because by our tradition, the elders must inherit the father. So from day one, the elders caused this problem in the chiefship of Dagbon from the reign of Yakubu.
Well, so let's go back into history. It's extremely important that we put all of this that's happened today into proper perspective with some historical analysis. So let's find out exactly the events that led to this, and then the man that the new Yana who's just been installed is replacing.
One of the last moments of Yana Yakubu and Danny II in a jubilant mood in his palace. Slain, his subjects and children have lived with the memory of a father whose life was forcibly cut short in what has been described by many as beyond a chieftaincy dispute. The fateful morning of March 27, 2002 has left pain and rancor. 3 days of unrest and sporadic violence. The Gbewa Palace, the residence of the king, together with 30 surrounding houses, were burnt down. 30 members of his household and other members of the community were killed and several others injured. The king's body was allegedly dismembered. His severed head was paraded on a spear and part of his body were paraded around town. Nobody has been jailed in relation to the incident. On the day of the incident, it was reported communication to Yendi was cut off. A new ruler of Dagbon could not be chosen until his predecessor was buried. A pathologist from 37 Military Hospital confirmed that the body of Yana Yakubu and Danny II was incomplete. However, the severed head and hand of the king were mysteriously returned to the Yendi District Hospital morgue, where the body was kept by an unknown person. The burial of the king finally took place on Monday, 10th April 2006, after a compromise was reached between the Danis and the Budus concerning his successor. The king was given a state burial in a royal mausoleum at the Gbewa Palace in Yendi. Pressure was brought to bear on the then government to prosecute persons believed to have orchestrated the murder of the king. 14 people were subsequently arrested and put before a court in Accra for the murder and charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder. But the High Court discharged the suspects for lack of evidence. Komla Kluche, TV3 News, Accra.
We wish the people of Dagbon well as they chart a course of peace and development. Let's turn to some other news this evening, as the fear and panic and apprehension that has gripped residents of the Second D Takoradi metropolis is worsening following the gruesome murder of a JHS pupil, Eugene Kweku Jamira, 17, and a pupil of Bishop Isua Memorial JHS in Takoradi was reported missing on Tuesday. Reports was made by the family to the police on Wednesday, only for his lifeless body to be found lying at Monkey Hill, a popular reserved forest in Takoradi, in the early hours of Friday, January 25. Eugene, who has been described by relatives and neighbors as very calm and respectful of his grandson, Mr. Jamira, a popular contractor in the Second D Takoradi metropolis, who was also killed under mysterious circumstances about 20 years ago at Ifiekuma New Site. The body has since been deposited at the Efie Nkwanta Hospital morgue for autopsy.
Clearly uneasy calm there in that part of the western region. Murders and kidnappings. Now, there was near mayhem at the Kwesimentim police station in Takoradi after some residents of the Kwesimentim Zongo rushed to the place in anger over the death of their colleague, the deceased Abdul Rahman Dauda, who had been in police custody, reportedly collapsed and was handed over to the family but died shortly after being sent to the hospital.
The deceased, Abdurrahman Dauda, is alleged to have been part of a group of people who had vandalized some property belonging to Suli and Bashiru, members of Kwesimentim Watchdog Committee. On Tuesday, January 22, a suspected thief, Mubarak, was lynched at Kwesimentim. This infuriated his family and friends, who accused the two Watchdog Committee members of instigating the act. They in turn destroyed their motorbikes. The police on Wednesday, January 23, arrested Abdul Rahman Dauda, the deceased, and some other persons in connection with the destroyed motorbikes. Narrating the incident, a brother of the deceased alleges that the police ignored pleas from his brother that he was not well until he collapsed before he was handed over to the family. Meanwhile, personnel at the Kwesimentim police have refused to speak on the issue. Laverage and Prochum Ochre, TV3 News, Takoradi.
Still on this, security analyst Emmanuel Soate has warned government ought to be concerned about recent cases of kidnapping and its effect on the country's international reputation. He insisted that any country that sees traits of it should do all it can to nip it in the bud.
Reacting to kidnappings recorded in the western region, Emmanuel Soate insisted one cannot call it a new trend, as this may require some more statistics to make such a conclusion.
The industry of kidnapping is a multi-million or maybe billion-dollar industry, even in the region alone. And so the trajectory of kidnapping and its impact on socio-economic, international reputation of states leaves much to be desired. And so anytime you see the step in your country, you have to make sure as much as possible you nip it in the bud.
The security expert noted that the kidnappings start with a gang, and as it moves on, it generates into splinter groups which become difficult to deal with as they tend to compromise persons in the security chain.
You have people who are part of a group who have splinter group cells and also start kidnapping, and maybe at the same time be in that group. You have others who would learn, copycat type of thing and also do the same thing referring to kidnapping. When it splinters around those lines, it becomes an industry. And once it becomes an industry, they are not stupid. They try to compromise people, in the whole chain of command.
He also expressed concern over interference in the work of the police by politicians.
Is that when governments are in power, the police service they want is a police service that will capitulate to their whims and caprices. And then those in opposition, police say, you can't trust the police. Now, these two narratives undermines police legitimacy, because then people see the police as tools and stooges of incumbents.
Details emerged that the Nigerian suspect arrested for the alleged kidnapping of 3 young women in the western region had multiple identification cards. The suspect, known as Samuel Idotu Wills, possesses 2 Nigerian voter ID cards with different names and a passport. Samuel Wills, who is currently in police cells in Takoradi, has refused to cooperate with the police, let alone give details on the whereabouts of his victims. The girls between the ages of 15 and 21 years were kidnapped between August 17 and December 31, 2018, and public outcry over the incident heightened early this year. Meanwhile, police has assured it is working fervently to get to the bottom of the case.
Let's now get into our mission segment this evening on News 360, brought to you by Star Ghana with support from UK Aid, Danida and the European Union. In mission this evening, residents at Aniji, a farming community in the Kwewu Afram Plains North District of the Eastern region, have devised means to solve their health needs in the face of slow response from district authorities. As Danny Niblo reports, the locals have initiated the construction of a CHIPS compound for their health needs 5 years after their mud house CHIPS facility collapsed.
Aniji, a cluster of 7 villages, is one of the oldest settler communities dominated by Eves. Farming and fishing are the predominant sources of livelihood for inhabitants. Although residents contribute their quota to the national food basket, development is not visible. Access to health care, for instance, is not easy. 5 years ago, a mud building serving as a CHIPS compound was pulled down by a rainstorm. Residents had to travel 36 kilometers to Donkokrum to access health care. Distribution of the national cake has not been even, and so there's a wide developmental gap to be filled by Aniji and its adjoining communities. Several projects have not been able to see light of day. The district assembly has been slow in responding to their concerns. The assembly, however, blames the situation on lack of funds.
There are so many things the assembly is doing, but the resources, it's boiled down to resources. Because if resources were there, the assembly would have gladly done that so that every assembly member will get. But when they bring their needs, it is prioritized.
But this has not deterred residents at Aniji. They levied themselves and have put up a cement block CHIPS compound to cater for their health needs. The facility has stalled at the plastering level.
We don't have any money. That's why we are begging, asking from the district assembly to help us.
The CHIPS compound comprises restrooms, separate accommodation for staff, storage room, washrooms and kitchen. This is to ensure maximum comfort even though there is no electricity. The assemblyman Raphael Poha supervised the construction works.
We need a lot to be done on the project, so I'm still on them just to help us to finish up the project, in which the health workers working over here can get chance to render services to the community, especially surrounded the Aniji community.
The Kwewu Afram Plains North District Assembly has complemented efforts of residents by donating some doors and frames. Some philanthropists have also donated 2 student mattresses for use by patients, but this is not enough. Residents will need more assistance to complete the facility. The CHIPS compound, although not complete, is already in use. A community health worker has been posted to Aniji and renders basic health services to the residents.
Even though the building is here, it's uncompleted, but also invading the facility.
Residents are happy the CHIPS compound has been made possible through their efforts.
I am very happy that we have been able to construct the CHIPS compound. We don't have money, but since the project was for a good cause, we contributed towards it.
An opinion leader, Simon Janibibi, explains why the community did not wait for government.
We need our help in the community, so we contribute the money. Everybody put pressure on himself. Then we work hardly and put the starter up to this stage.
Potable water is difficult to come by, and this is affecting the running of the facility. Other communities within the electoral area are emulating the initiative by residents of Aniji.
Community like Kamalo, actually they are having a school in which GSS has also been established over there, and they are not having accommodation for the teachers. So they have also started doing something, and I've written to the assembly to come to their aid.
Residents are looking forward to the even distribution of the country's resources to improve their lives.
Well, great initiative taken there by residents, but still a situation in need of urgent attention. That does it for our mission segment this evening. It's brought to you by Star Ghana with support from UK Aid, Danida and the European Union.
Oh, hello there. Welcome to the business news here on NEWS360. Now, a banking consultant and business coach, Manny Japan, has encouraged the surviving banks in the country to improve on their customer relations to sustain their growth over time. He indicated this is the best way to take advantage of the current banking sector reforms that has opened the marketplace.
And once you have a relationship, that means you give the best of who you are to the product. And that's where you generate your income as well. In banking, one thing you don't have to forget is that you are in services. You are serving the people. The money that you actually loan out is the people's money. That's why it comes back to relationship. If you can trace the root of your sources back to its original position, you should honor it. So if I come to your banking facility or a banking place, I expect A-class services. There's always room for improvement, and that's something that we should definitely work hard on.
The business coach noted the need for mentorship and coaching for the country's young financial entrepreneurs.
Because if you do not take it and you go out there, you would give out something that is not you. Based on the experience accumulated over a period of time, based on the failures, because it's amazing how people don't feel that you need to fail to be successful. It's a wrong concept. Failure is actually the best thing that can ever happen to you if you use it rightly.
Manny Japan noted the banking sector needs to harness the resources on the African continent for the future of businesses.
We live on a continent filled with opportunities, filled with privileges. Africa is paramount to the sources of the world. We have to harness that power that we have and come together as a unit, synergy, and then do business.
Absolutely. Customer service, extremely important. Everything rises and falls on effective customer service, really. But let's still stay with the banking sector, because a report on inventory of assets and property by the receiver of the 5 banks merged into the Consolidated Bank Ghana Limited has shown that over 5 billion Ghana cedis of loans advanced by the banks were given to cronies and related parties, often without following due process. Shows that loans advanced by some of the banks had no documentation to back them and or were authorized with just a simple email. Others did not have their collaterals perfected, meaning the banks have no legal right to seize and sell them to recover debts owed them. For Unibank, out of the 4.5 billion Ghana cedis loans advanced, 1.93 billion Ghana cedis was advanced to related and connected parties, out of which only 0.1% is considered performing, the report shows. It adds that most of the significant number of facilities advanced to related and connected parties had incomplete or no loan origination documents. Most of the facilities were solely approved by the executive, with approved amounts far exceeding the authorized limits. When it comes to loans advanced to third parties, a total of 2.6 billion Ghana cedis was disbursed, of which 300 million Ghana cedis is classified as performing or retrievable, meaning 88.5% of the total loans disbursed has to be written off as bad or non-performing loans. In the case of Beige Bank, out of 872 million Ghana cedis loans advanced, 274 million Ghana cedis, representing 31% of total loans, was advanced to known related parties. Royal Bank, the report shows that a total of 1.14 billion Ghana cedis was advanced, with a net figure of 200 million Ghana cedis, out of which the value of third-party loans was 14.6 million Ghana cedis, of which 24% had the collaterals not registered in the name of the bank. The Construction Bank also advanced loans to the tune of 626,000 Ghana cedis, which were all term loans given to 9 employees of the bank for mortgage and personal purposes. Mortgages made up of 63%, while personal loans formed 37% of the loan book. It is only the Sovereign Bank that had no connected parties in its 135 million Ghana cedis loans advanced to corporates and individuals. Pretty interesting, but let's get into social media space. There's a lot happening there. Now, Facebook plans to integrate its messaging services on Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook Messenger. So here's what it is. While all three will remain standalone apps, at a much deeper level, they will be linked so messages can travel between the different services. That's Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp can still go through the same process. Facebook told the BBC it was at the start of a long process. The plan was first reported in the New York Times and is believed to be a personal project of Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg. Once completed, the merger would mean that a Facebook user could communicate directly with someone who only has a WhatsApp account. This is currently impossible as the applications have no common core or relationship. Now, the work to merge the three elements has already begun, reported the NYT, and is expected to be completed by the end of 2019 or early next year as 2020. According to shared data, Mark Zuckerberg is reportedly pushing the integration plan to make its trinity of services more useful and increase the amount of time people spend on them. Amazing stuff, isn't it? So that's it for business. Let's log on to 3news.com. Some more business news. Natalie standing by with some more stories.
Thanks, Alfred. Let's turn to other stories as some concerned youth of Talensi in the Upper East region have accused Shanzi Mining Ghana Limited of breaching the country's mining laws. At a press conference at the forecourt of the Bolgatanga Regional Hospital mortuary, they called on the company to compensate the deceased families. Here's a report by Tanko Mohammed Rabiu.
Wednesday, January 22, 2019, 16 miners lost their lives in a pit after a blast from Shanzi Mining Ghana Limited. 15 were admitted at the Bolgatanga Regional Hospital and 4 have since been discharged. At a press conference, the concerned youth of Talensi, including some small-scale miners, accused Shanzi Mining Ghana Limited of engaging in illegal mining and violating the country's mining laws. Bismarck Zuma is the spokesperson for the group.
I don't see why we all banned by the mining regulations and the laws in this country. And Pubotaba, Yaya Mining Group, and the Shanzi counterparts are treating different from the other people in the country. Continue killing our people and no one cares. And our own people saying that they should sack all small-scale miners from the area. It's a bad idea.
The group accused Shanzi Mining of not undertaking any corporate social responsibility in the area. They are therefore appealing to the president not to include the Deputy Attorney General, Joseph Penka, should there be any prosecution due to conflict of interest.
Now, Parliament has held a brief memorial service for the late Member of Parliament for Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency, Emmanuel Chamantinge Jakon. The late Chamantinge Jakon died on November 21, 2018 at a hospital in the United States after a short illness. Memorial service was attended by the Speaker of Parliament, Professor Aaron Michael Quay, First Deputy Speaker Joseph Oseosu, and Deputy Majority Leader Sarah Adjosafo. MPs from both sides of the House and some other dignitaries were also present. The final funeral rites and burial of the late MP will be held at the Zimmerman Presbyterian Church at Odomase-Krobo, his hometown in the Eastern region. So may his soul continue to rest in perfect peace.
Hello there, good evening. My name is Miriam. Let's do some entertainment news. Starting with Rocky Dawuni. Now, the award-winning reggae Ghanaian musician Rocky Dawuni has advised the industry players to acknowledge the immense role played by fathers of the Ghanaian music heritage.
Rocky Dawuni is Ghana's most profound reggae songwriter and singer. With his Afro root sounds, which is a mixture of reggae, Afro beats, high life and soul music, He has attracted a lot of international fan base. He's best known for great songs like Rock Your Soul, African Reggae Fever in Ghana.
She said it's no from Rasta in Ghana. We're stopping all the suffering in Ghana.
The 50-year-old global ambassador and activist called on industry players to acknowledge the contributions of pioneers of Ghanaian music heritage.
You know, and I feel that, you know, whatever we've achieved, even in this generation, you know, even to the point of, you know, Grammys and all that stuff, I feel that we always have to give thanks to all the musicians, you know, the founding fathers, the foundation bearers, you know, from the Ampedus, you know, who set up the space of Ghanaian popular music for it to grow over generations, for some of us to stand on those pedestals too and take things forward.
On his yet-to-be-released album Beats of Zion, the 2015 Grammy nominee says it is a wake-up call for Africa to take her rightful place in the world.
The concept of Beats of Zion is the heralding call of Africa rising to the occasion, Africa taking its role in terms of leadership in the world. At the same time, too, beckoning to the diaspora. I mean, coincidentally, we're talking about a year of return.
Exactly.
Beats of Zion, you know, encapsulates that philosophy. You know, it's about, but Beats of Zion is about Africa waving the beacon and playing the drum for all its sons to come back home and help fashion the new future that we.
The album, which featured top musicians like Riala, Sarkodie, Stonebwoy and others, comes out on March 8th.
Right, let's move from reggae music to acting. The award-winning actress Yvonne Nelson has denied being a member of the New Patriotic Party, despite staging a vigil on Dumsor back in 2015 during President Mahama's tenure in office. She made this revelation on Yvonne Okoro's Dining with Cooks and Braggarts show.
There's girls inside. Alright guys, so yeah, finally.
Yvonne Nelson is vocal when it comes to national issues. With support from other celebrities, she led a vigil to express their displeasure against erratic power supply citizens were experiencing in 2015. This action made many tag the actress as anti-NDC. 4 years later, the sensational actress on Yvonne Okoro's Dining with Cooks and Braggarts show debunked claims of being a member of the New Patriotic Party, which many believed informed her decision to stage the vigil.
I don't think they even care about me.
Are you NPP?
I don't think they even care about me.
NPP doesn't care about you?
All I want to know is that they don't really care about us.
I exist, Yvonne.
But I think people think that you're NPP because we've seen videos of you with
the Dumsor.
You have Dumsor whole thing, and then the videos of you with the First Lady, etc. And they think that, you know, that means that you were probably paid for the Dumsor.
Oh, paid? Really, Yvonne? That's what some people paid. I wasn't paid for
to do it.
Yeah. No. Yvonne, I risked my life, my career,
I risked my life and my career.
Yvonne, no one paid me. They can't
But
even
nobody
pay
paid me.
You can't even place value
me
on what I did, Yvonne.
So do you think that...
Had I known is always at last. Thursday theater.
Oh, John, I was just being a voice to the voiceless.
And that's about it for Entertainment News tonight. There's more on 3news.com. And Miriam, have a good evening.
I can't wait to watch tomorrow. But let's go to some stories just coming. The presidency has directed the chief executive officers of some 8 public institutions to proceed on compulsory retirement. So the directive is in accordance with a provision in the Public Service Act, which enjoins public officers to retire from public service on attaining the age of 60 years and getting a possible extension of 5 years extra. So the affected CEOs in this case are Mr. Eugene Ofosuhene. He's 67 years old. He's a Controller and Accountant General. Now, Mr. Maxwell Kofi Juma was 68 years old as well. Until today, he was the CEO of the Ghana Industrial Holdings Corporation, that's GIHOC. Isaac Osei, 67 years, CEO of Tamara Refinery, TOR. Pretty interesting. Kwame Owusu, 67 years old, CEO of Ghana Maritime Authority. Yeah. And Kojo Owusu-Afriyie, 65 years old, CEO of Forestry Commission, popularly known as Sir John. So we have some of them still there, but there's a lot more on this on 3news.com. Pretty interesting, the happenings.
Yes, certainly it is.
Yes, as we speak, but it is law.
It is law, given
it
until
has
March
to be complied with, yeah. But I want to say thank you. My name is Alfred Okansi.
I'm Natalie Fort. You can get some more on this and other news on our website. It's 3news.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great evening.